Enlil is a major deity in Mesopotamian mythology, particularly in Sumerian and Akkadian pantheons. He is known as the god of wind, air, storms, and spirit, and was considered a supreme ruler and mediator between the gods and humans. He played a crucial role in creation myths and was associated with civilization, agriculture, and kingship. Key aspects of Enlil: god of wind and air. Enlil is associated with the natural forces of wind, air, and storms, often depicted as a powerful figure who could bring both calm and chaos. Creator and destroyer. Enlil is believed to have played a role in the creation of the universe, and was also responsible for destructive forces like storms. King of the gods. Enlil was considered one of the supreme deities and held the tablets of destiny, which decreed the fate of gods and humans, according to World History Encyclopedia. God of civilization. Enlil was credited with granting kingship and providing essential tools for construction and farming, symbolizing his role in the development of Mesopotamian civilization. Worship and temple. Enlil's worship was centered in Nippur, where a grand temple, Akur, was built in his honor, and his influence extended throughout southern Mesopotamia, according to Orak. Mythological narratives. Enlil's mythology includes stories of his relationship with the goddess Ninlil, his exile to the underworld, and the Great Flood. Relationships with other deities. Enlil was part of a ruling triad alongside Anu and Ea, and his sons include Nana, the moon god, Ninurta, and Ningirsu. Enlil, later known as Enlil and Enlil, is an ancient Mesopotamian god associated with wind, air, earth, and storms. He is first attested as the chief deity. Enlil's mythology includes stories of his relationship with the goddess Ninlil, his exile to the underworld, and the Great Flood. Relationships with other deities. Enlil was part of a ruling triad alongside Anu and Ea, and his sons include Nana, the moon god, Ninurta, and Ningirsu. Enlil is known for being the king of gods, a role possibly passed down to him from On. Enlil is also known for being responsible for the deluge, which in the Sumerian flood myth. When Enlil, the creator of heaven and earth, wished to people the earth with living beings, the god Enki, the god of wisdom and knowledge, devised the image of man after the image of the gods, and the goddess Ninhursag molded it in clay, while the blood of Enlil gave it life and intellect. How did Enlil create humans? Sacredness and respect. The name Yahweh, representing God's personal name, is considered highly sacred and not to be used lightly or improperly. English translations. English translations of the Bible generally use Lord, all caps, to represent YHWH, further emphasizing its sanctity and the need for respectful usage. Rabbinic tradition. Rabbinic Judaism emphasizes the need to treat the name with the utmost reverence, forbidding its pronunciation except for the high priest in the temple in certain specific ceremonies, says Wikipedia. Replacement terms. When reading Hebrew scriptures, the name Yahweh is typically replaced with terms like Adonai, Lord, or Adon, to show respect and avoid pronouncing the name inappropriately. Many scholars hypothesize that the biblical narratives were based upon these Sumerian texts. They suggest that the Bible isn't original, but a reiteration of the Anunnaki tale. Shortly after that, tragically, Enki was murdered by the gods Anshar and Nergal. In Mesopotamian mythology, Enlil's parents are An and Kai, the primeval deities representing the sky and earth respectively. An and Ki are also said to have separated heaven and earth, an act that Enlil is credited with in some accounts. In other versions, Enlil's parents are Anshar, the sky pivot, and Kishar, the earth pivot. Here's a more detailed look. An, Anu, and Kai. In some accounts is described as the son of An, the sky god, and Kai, the earth goddess. This version portrays Enlil as a child of the primeval forces that brought the universe into being. Anshar and Kishar. In Akkadian myths, Enlil is sometimes considered the son of Anshar, the sky pivot, and Kishar, the earth pivot, who embody the male and female aspects of the heavenly and earthly realms. Some traditions also associate Enlil with other parental figures, such as Enki and Ninki, or Lugal-Dukuga. En and Ki mated with each other, causing Ki to give birth to Enlil. Enlil separated An from Ki and carried off the earth as his domain, while An carried off the sky. Enlil marries his mother Ki, and from this union all the plant and animal life on earth is produced. A king will die, a nation will fall. Dark omens revealed from 4,000-year-old Babylonian tablets. Lunar eclipses in particular were seen as dark omens, such as the death of the king. Researchers have managed to decipher 4,000-year-old Babylonian cuneiform tablets that predict future disasters based on lunar eclipses. The tablets, which are kept at the British Museum and were found over 100 years ago in Iraq, are some of the oldest known descriptions of omens tied to lunar eclipses. A dark omen, lunar eclipses, and foreboding premonitions. Lunar eclipses are an astronomical phenomenon that occurs when the moon is darkened in the sky, covered in darkness by the Earth's shadow. This is caused by the Earth being in a very precise location, stuck between the moon and the sun. This itself only happens when the moon is full, since the celestial bodies were such a constant feature of life everywhere in the world. It makes sense that different cultures hold significance in eclipses. The ancient Babylonians were no exception. Early innovators in the field of astronomy, though more similar to what we know as astrology, the Babylonians held great significance to the behavior of the moon. Lunar eclipses in particular were seen as dark omens, such as the death of the king. For this reason, the Babylonians developed a method of calculating the occurrences of eclipses. This is known as the Saros cycle, which covers a period of 223 lunar months and is able to help determine when eclipses would occur. Babylonian astrologers would consult sources to interpret the eclipse and associated astrological phenomenon. This included other astronomical observations, the practice of extispecie, animal sacrifice, and the consultation of the collection of celestial omens, which essentially are a way of sourcing established tradition of eclipse omens. But how far back do these collection of omens go? Which are the oldest ones? As far as scholars are aware, the oldest ones are a collection of 4 tablets currently in the British Museum. After years, 2 academics were finally able to translate these tablets to take a look at what some of these omens mean. Here is a short sample of some of the dark fates the Babylonians believed were heralded by signs interpreted from lunar eclipses. Pestilence. Economic woes. The death of a king. Destruction of Elam. A great flood. The end of a dynasty rebellion. Some of these signs were conditional. For instance, in some cases, an omen will give 2 options. Either a king will die and therefore the people of his lands will be fine, or a king won't die, and the people of his land will suffer. However, this is also in line with what we already know about these religious practices, where they would employ magical rituals to try and protect the king if necessary. Enlil, later known as Enlil and Enlil, is an ancient Mesopotamian god associated with wind, air, earth, and storms. He is first attested as the chief deity of the Sumerian pantheon, but he was later worshipped by the Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Hurrians. Enlil's primary center of worship was the Ekur temple in the city of Nippur, which was believed to have been built by Enlil himself and was regarded as the mooring rope of heaven and earth. He is also sometimes referred to in Sumerian texts as Nunamnir. According to one Sumerian hymn, Enlil himself was so holy that not even the other gods could look upon him. Enlil rose to prominence during the 24th century BC with the rise of Nippur. His cult fell into decline after Nippur was sacked by the Elamites in 1230 BC, and he was eventually supplanted as the chief god of the Mesopotamian pantheon by the Babylonian national god, Marduk. Enlil, god of the wind, air, the earth, and storms planet. Jupiter symbol horned crown, genealogy parents, An and Ki siblings, Enki consort, Ninlil, Ki children, Ninurta, Nana, Nergal, Nina. Nibiru, Babylonian astronomy. Nibiru, also transliterated Nebiru, Nebiru, is a term in the Akkadian language, translating to crossing or point of transition, especially of rivers, i.e., river crossings or ferry boats. While the nature of the crossing in astronomy has long been a source of confusion in scholarly and popular opinion, in a 2015 report for the Cuneiform Digital Library Bulletin, Emanuel Friedman analyzed the extant cuneiform evidence and concluded that the hypothesis that the name Nibiru may be assigned to any visible astronomical object that marks an equinox is supported by cuneiform evidence. Role in Babylonian cosmology. Nibiru was considered the seat of the Sumus Deus, who shepherds the stars like sheep, in Babylon identified with Marduk. The establishment of the Nibiru point is described in Tablet 5 of the creation epic Enuma Elish. When Marduk fixed the locations, Manzazu, of Nibiru, Enlil and Ea in the sky. The Enuma Elish states, Nibiru is Marduk's star which he made appear in the heavens. The stars of heaven let him, Nibiru, set their course. Let him shepherd all the gods like sheep. Nibiru is described more closely on a complete cuneiform tablet Nibiru, which is said to have occupied the passageways of heaven and earth, because everyone above and below asks Nibiru if they cannot find the passage. Nibiru is Marduk's star which the gods in heaven caused to be visible. Nibiru stands as a post at the turning point. The others say of Nibiru the post, the one who crosses the middle of the sea, Tiamat, without calm, may his name be Nibiru, for he takes up the center of it. The path of the stars of the sky should be kept unchanged. Burrell calls the text objectively the most difficult passage, although it has been handed down in its entirety. The Nibiru tablet does not provide any essential help for the clarification. In the enumerations, Nibiru is mentioned at different astronomical locations in conjunction with the positions of stars and planets, mostly as the Star of Marduk. However, the various stars or planets were not subject to any fixed interpretation. For example, the Star of Ea was described at various revelation spots, including Vela, Fomalhaut, and Venus. Similar interpretations were made for the other stars of the gods, so multiple celestial coordinates must be considered. Nibiru has been associated with the area of Libra. The Nibiru constellation rose in the month of Tishritam, around autumnal equinox. However, Nibiru was also a name for the planet Jupiter when observed in the month of Tishritam. In the Amul-Apin, Nibiru is identified as Jupiter. When the stars of Enlil have been finished, one big star, although its light is dim, divides the sky in half and stands there. That is, the star of Marduk, Mul Damar Ud, Nibiru, Neberu, Jupiter, Mulsag, Mi Dagar. It keeps changing its position and crosses the sky in half and stands there. That is, the star of Marduk, Mul Damar Ud, Nibiru, Neberu, Jupiter, Mulsag Migar. It keeps changing its position and crosses the sky. Control of winds and storms. Enlil could summon gentle breezes or unleash powerful storms, demonstrating his dominion over the natural world. I hope you found this entertaining and insightful. Like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.